I am delighted to welcome Grayson here. I was just saying to one of my friends, I don't actually mind having 300 people in front of me. I'm truly terrified of having you next to me. It's kind of like, the sheer awe of it. Art and mental health. You're married to a psychotherapist. You are obviously one of the foremost artists in the world at this moment. Tell me, in your world, how art and mental health are and should be working together.
Well, I think one of the great things about art is that it kind of operates on a level which is sort of unconscious a lot of the time. And so therefore, you know, when I make a piece of work, yes, there are things that we're aware of in the conversation we have with my work or whatever, but it's also operating on an unconscious level, you know, and we're, you know, often when I look back at my early work, which I'm seeing a lot of at the moment because we put a call out for some early work, I'm going, oh my God, you know, it's like, ooh, I was letting me knickers show there, you know, it's like I could see my kind of unconscious showing a bit too much, you know, particularly around my sexuality. And, you know, I think that when we're making art, you know, we're not quite aware of what we're saying when we make art. But I think, you know, it operates, the mental health benefits of art operate on many levels. It's not just in what you're doing it about or expressing yourself, which is something that always slightly gives me the creeps. But it's this idea of actually doing it. You're doing something and, you know, applying yourself to something and giving your life meaning. That's, you know, that's the thing we're all hungry for the whole time, is giving our life meaning. You know, because life is meaningless. I hate to tell you this. You know, life is meaningless. Our job is to make the meaning. And so art is a great way, whatever sort of art is, whether it's writing or music or, you know, acting or whatever, but it's making meaning, and it's like giving yourself, you know, you're playing out your own mythology.
How do men self-care, or how do you self-care when things are difficult, you've got multiple projects, you've got your personal life, you've got your professional life? Could you let us in a little bit into what kind of toolkit you have?
That's a good, I like that, yeah, because that's very personal and touching sort of thought, you know, because self-care, I think that to be aware of your own needs and be willing to say you need certain things, like if you're lonely, you know, that's something that a lot of people talk about, is that they're lonely. And I think a lot of men particularly don't even notice they're lonely because they're not in tune with how they feel. They're so kind of uptight and being men that they're not responsive to their own feelings, and they might not even notice that they're lonely until it's too late. And I think that's something like that, and being, you know, sort of looking at yourself in terms of your physical health. You know, that often mental health and physical health go in step with each other. You know, if you have low self-esteem, then you don't look after your body, and then blah, 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 it all falls apart. You know, so, and I find exercise, of course, is also another huge part of mental health. You know, it's always up there in the top 5 things you can do for your good mental health is to do a bit of exercise. So I like cycling, mountain biking. I've done it for 30 years. So once or twice a week at least, I get out for 2 or 3 hours.
Many years ago, in the early, mid-1980s, I was a young teacher. It was my second teaching job after leaving art school. And I was teaching at a college which long ago stopped existing up near Euston Station, called the Central London Institute. And it was an adult education college, just like City Lit. And you came for quite a few years, and we became friends, and you were a great student to have. You almost got me the sack in my second only teaching job, because it was a mainstream daytime adult education pottery class, and there was a whole mixture of people in the class. Some of them were older people, particularly some women, and they objected to some of the imagery that was on Grayson's work. And they wrote a letter to the principal of the college saying that I was allowing pornography to be made in the class, and I was hauled up into the principal's office, and he said to me, "What's this, Kate? What's going on? What's going on in your class?" And I said, it's not pornography, it's art. You need to understand what is happening here. Yeah. Exactly. So luckily for me, and luckily for Grayson, he accepted this, and I kept my job, and he stayed in the class. And the rest is history, really. And so it is, for me, a really great honour and a privilege to give you this, Grayson, after all these years, and to say it's been great.
Oh,
What a journey. And you've got I don't know what it is, but I bought you a present.
thank you. Well, thank you, Kate. I mean, I am very touched because, you know, you were instrumental in unleashing me on the world, I'm afraid. And I did learn all the basics. I mean, I think one of the things I would say to any aspiring artist is, you know, my tactic has always been learn on the job. Just get on with it. Start and you'll learn. You know, it's how I've done it. And I just learned the basics very quick. I don't think I've learned much since, actually. So I got enough, and then, but yeah, it was great. And doing in those classes, what was great was the communal thing. I liked, you know, because teasing the old ladies was sort of part of it.
Yeah. Thank you.